Aloha, friends and neighbors. We're going to cover from November 9th to November 28th. November 18th, excuse me. November 9th to November 18th. And as far as I'm concerned, you're officially out of any hurricane season. And I just realized I got to be careful here. I've been caught before with high winds, and I label them hurricanes. So it isn't necessarily a hurricane that knocks your power lines down and tree limbs and stuff. You can have a high wind. Well, whatever it is, you've gone through the 2-week window. What's also coming up here is Venus is trining Mars. It'll get very social and neat and sexy. And there's a new moon on the 7th of November that trined Neptune. So that took you out of the Pluto trips, all the panickiness and all the guns and the terror and all of that stuff. Yeah. The kind of sad news is, or the tricky stuff, is that Mercury, stationary retrograde, Mercury going retrograde for about 3 weeks. In this case, it's squaring Neptune, which is already retrograde. And you're going to see this on Fridays. Probably Friday the 9th, you'll see some of this. And you'll lose things. And you'll put things over there and forget where they are. There's forgetfulness. There's lost pieces of communication. There's transportation errors. Mercury is the god of communication and transportation. And squaring Neptune, it's like we all got a little drunk and forgot where we left our keys. And yes, especially on Fridays. So probably the strongest one will be on the 16th when the moon goes by Neptune. I have a lot of stuff I want to tell you about today. Some of it is very simple. I want to go back to some basics. And then I have something very weird and strange. Not sure what it means to tell you about. But the first thing is, let's get to the sky mirror and go through the daily mood of the times. I've drawn you up a chart. Now this is a generic chart, it's not your chart. This applies to everybody. If you're in a large group someplace, you'll see them behaving pretty much like this. But individual behavior may be a little different. Here's the sun. It's going through the last part of Scorpio. Jupiter's already shifted into Sagittarius. And so this is the last 10 days, 2 weeks, while there'll be emphasis on Scorpio and a lot of truths coming out. Here's Mercury. He's not so happy. He's got that doggone square to Neptune. He's all confused. He delivered it to the wrong place or at the wrong time. And gee, I didn't get my Sunday paper this morning either. And here's Mars. And Mars is moving up to square Jupiter towards the end of next week. So there's an overabundance of aggression and anger and physical energy and testosterone coming up, increasing as you go through your next coming week. And a strange thing here is the planet Uranus, which is opposing Venus and interrupting peace, quiet, love, calm, and doing a lot more. I've discovered some interesting things I'm going to tell you about a little bit. But first, let's go through it day by day. We're going to run the moon around the edge, and as it makes angles to these various planets, these actors on the stage, it generates the mood of the times. If, let's see, Thursday morning, the moon's on Jupiter, lots of truth and wisdom on the 8th. And here on the 7th, there was that nice new moon. And here's some aggression, too, on, see, this is the 8th. So that's the 7th, the evening of the 7th, the moon squares Mars. But you're probably watching the Thursday show, and you had a pretty good morning, and the moon's in Sagittarius, and it continues through Friday. Now on Friday, the 9th, here's a square to Neptune. It happens early in the morning, and the moon's going by Mercury. And Mercury's stopping. He's going to retrograde, on the 17th. So he's real big right now. But with the square to Neptune, he thought you said right and you meant left. So here's your first day of confusion. And at least he's not retrograde yet. You won't have to do a lot of things twice. But it's a confusing day in the middle of Sagittarius. On Saturday, the moon's still in Sagittarius, and it changes a lot. You can see the little blue markers I have. When you see a red marker, that's a square or an opposition, and means tension and blockage and difficulties. The blues are sextiles and trines when things just happen. Like here on Saturday between breakfast and lunch, here's a nice sextile to Venus. And there's a lot of peace and quiet and love, even some sex around. And in the afternoon, here the moon trines Uranus. And so it kind of diffuses that Uranus-Venus opposition, the coitus interruptus. And here's also a sextile to Mars. So Saturday, especially the afternoon and evening, promises to be very social, very sexy, very romantic. And it continues right through until, well, the moon's going to go into Capricorn. And here's old Saturn. Yeah. So that hits, let's see, each one of these little lines is 2 hours. 2 a.m., 4 a.m. See, this is about breakfast time. The moon's going to go by Saturn. Will sober you up. And remind you of all those bills you got to pay. Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. It's terrible for me right now. Moon in Capricorn. Get yourself organized on the 11th, Sunday. Start early. Make a plan. On Monday, the moon's still in Capricorn, and in the morning it hits Pluto. Things are decisive. There's discovery. New things come up. You get better control over everything in your life. And you're pretty happy about it in the middle of Monday because the moon sextiles the sun. No problems till you get to late Monday, late Capricorn. And here's the moon squaring Venus, squaring Uranus. There's that full moon that happened there. And the south node. So, wow, Monday night, Tuesday morning, we need help. And there's a lot of excessive lunacy, we'll call it, around. Okay, now, there is a sextile to Jupiter, but it may just be overdoing it. This is a difficult time, Monday night through the first half of Tuesday, the 13th of November. On Wednesday, the moon's still in Aquarius, and we got a nice sextile to Mercury. And get some stuff done. Do your mailing, do your writing, do your transport before it goes retrograde on the 17th. You still got a few days. So it's a good time to do Mercury work on Wednesday. Delivery work, carrying things around, writing, teaching, talking, moving. On Wednesday, the 14th. Thursday, the 15th, the moon's still in Aquarius to get to just before dinner. It shifts into Pisces. And while it's in Aquarius, there's a nice trine to Venus. There's some love, peace and quiet. Well, it starts out with a square to the sun. So you're not getting much done here before lunch and around the middle of the day. The moon squaring the sun. It's hard to get organized. But Venus is there later. Some sweets show up. Go for the pleasure. Yeah. There's a nice conjunction to Mars. A lot of energy here. Romeo is up and chasing Venus around. It's very social, very sexy. And there's this nice sextile to Uranus that happens late Thursday night when everybody gets together. And there's a lot of universal agreement Thursday night. Interesting time. On Friday, the moon's still in Pisces. Starts with a nice sextile to Saturn. You're very well organized Friday morning on the 16th. And your plans are going forward. It feels pretty good. I'm like, yeah, because here's Friday night around 9, 10 o'clock, the moon's going by Neptune, and it's squaring Mercury, and you lost the paperwork or the keys, or you know, there's communication problems, and yeah, Mercury's going retrograde, so you got to keep an eye on him. The other thing that happens is well, I won't get into it. But Mars is squaring the Sun on the 17th, tomorrow. So there's a lot of excess anger and a lot of excess energy misplaced, not getting the job done. So if Mars would just, you guys stick to the pleasures and the fun and Juliet, and not try to butt heads with the boss, you'll be okay. Yeah, to Friday. Saturday, the moon's still in Pisces, and there's that early morning, the square to Mercury. So it's really late Friday night, early morning Saturday, the confusion, the delusion. I said right, you heard left. You know, losing things. Yeah. And with Neptune, when the moon goes by Neptune Friday night, people are going to get drunk, and they're going to lose their keys. So, and even if you try to get around it and say, I'm going to put my keys in a special place, then you'll forget the special place. I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with leaving the keys right in the car, right in the ignition. I once had an old, beautiful Toyota truck we used for dirt biking when my boys were younger, and we got tired of hunting down the keys, so I just broke off the key in the ignition. Then I put a button, 2 buttons underneath the dashboard. One turned on the electricity, the other was the starter, and that's how you got the thing running. Never needed a key anymore for that truck. Didn't have to worry about losing it. So Saturday morning, you watch your words, and there'll be confusion and delusion. You know, you'll get some control here just before lunch with a nice sextile to Pluto, and by the time you get to dinner and after dinner, there's a trine to the Sun. You're back on the rails again, and your plan is starting to form up, and you're feeling pretty good about it. Because here's Jupiter, you know, really late. Well, it's Sunday morning. Aha, I see the truth. I see it clearly Sunday morning. So I'm doing good. I'm on track. Yeah. Well, you won't get slowed down until you get to Sunday night. After dinner, here's the moon squaring Saturn. Got to slow down. Just going to have to. Now, what you notice is I've marked a square here. I don't usually mark in to the nodes. Here's Uranus squaring this north node, and it squares the south node because they're always opposite. So this is a very weird thing, and maybe I better tackle this first. This is going to get a little esoteric. Here's the south node, the north node, the dragon's tail, the dragon's head. The Hindu astrologers make a big deal out of this. They say that the south node is more like Saturn, and the north node is more like Jupiter. And I studied it a long time. For the first half of my career, I wouldn't use them. They're not planets. They're just places where the moon crosses the ecliptic. You know, it's going north, it's the north node. If it's going south, south node. So get it clear. These nodes are moon trips. It's where the moon crosses the ecliptic. And I researched and researched. And one day I did the essential. I went out to go swimming with the south node on the rising sign. And I was a pretty accomplished body surfer, but I went under a kind of shallow wave. The wave caught my feet and just turned me over and thumped me on the sand, knocked me out. I woke up underneath the water, in 2 feet of water, and finally got my head up. I was very weak. I kept asking people, help me, and people just walked by. So I branded the south node as I need help. Yes. And gosh, Finally, somebody saw me after I crawled up on the beach, hardly conscious. Firemen came and got me, took me to the hospital. And I've never quite been the same since. So I learned the hard way not to mess with the south node. Yes. And it can be very mean. Now, the north and south nodes go backwards in the zodiac. Yes, they're always retrograde. If you look at them in the ephemeris, like I like the true nodes, and in my ephemeris, here's a true node, and it goes forward a little bit, then backwards, backwards, forward a little bit, backwards, backwards. So it does go forward a little bit, but mainly it's traveling backwards, see, from 29 to 28. So the nodes are retrograde. They take about 28 years to go around your chart. And what's happened is Uranus is there at 29 degrees going retrograde. And it's squaring the north and south nodes. And this is very peculiar. I've never seen anything like this, and I'm not sure what to say about it, except now we have a T-square between Uranus, transiting Uranus, and square to the nodes. And it's going to go on for a while. Now, it may be the reason that nobody is ordering any chart work from me. People don't like science. They don't like spectrum and television and Uranus in general. And we're having a lack of mothering in the country. People are shooting up all sorts of folks. Anybody that's different, from black people to Jewish people to, all kinds of folks. It was the gypsies that Hitler first went after, Uranus people, people that are different. Surprising they're not going after LGBTQ. But Hitler also went after anybody who was crippled, so that they were not perfect. So it wasn't just Jews, it was anybody really different. And if you're different, look out. Nobody has any compassion for you now, because Uranus, the ruler of such folks like me, the astrologer, squares the nodes. And the north node is mothering and nurturing, and the south node is sucking up mothering. And we don't get any mothering. No, the result is we've had people go shoot up Jewish churches and black people, and there's a lot of violence because of a lack of mothering, a lack of moon, because Uranus is interrupting our nurturing north node and are putting work into nurturing south node. So this is a very difficult thing. It's very weird, strange. Now, one of the things the moon has to do with is your inner pictures in your mind. You have an inner life that has pictures and emotions in it. It just goes along like a movie. That's the moon. Uranus has to do with the higher thoughts, and can be very strange and different. And I find that in my mind there's a certain buzzing going on in the brain, and it's very distracting. Yes, it's a bad feeling, and my higher mental facilities don't work as well as they should. Sometimes I feel a little skitsy, a little schizophrenic, a little buzzing. The mind just won't shut off like it's supposed to. It doesn't have controls on it. Now, I don't know how this is affecting your life, but if you're getting these peculiar mental symptoms, nobody wants to talk about it. Interruptions, and a lot of the daily activities that you do will get interrupted. You'll drop stuff. The newspaper didn't get here, the TV went out, blah, blah, blah. So both the nodes are going retrograde, and Uranus is going retrograde. And right now it's showing up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. No, wait a minute. Where's our sky mirror? There it is. Yeah, so it's Monday night, Tuesday morning. These will slowly drift backwards about a day every month. So if you're catching them on Tuesday mornings, in a few weeks it'll be on Mondays, and then it'll go back to Sundays. And the reason I'm telling you this is because not only nobody wants to do astrology work, and I'm going broke and can't pay bills, but this is going to go on for a while. And those of you that are catching the bad mental symptoms, you're going to have to learn to put up with it a bit. Now, I went back to see when it started, and I marked them in yellow, okay, because here's the node, and here's Uranus. And they first started coming into square September, last half of September, and they got real strong in square the last half of October. So you just started this strange thing. Maybe people talking too loud, or people wanting to split and get out of here and be independent, and they can't, and it's frustration, or problems with the media, and a lot of inside mental stuff, and a total lack of mothering and nurturing when Uranus interrupts those two nodes. So we've had a rash of shootings and bizarre violence against people who are different. That's Uranus, huh? At least nobody's come after me directly. So what's going to happen? I went through the ephemeris, and doggone it, they stay in square a long time. Here's November. It's the two yellow columns. Here's Uranus and square. Here's Uranus and square to the nodes, both at 29, 29, 29. It goes through December, 29, 28. The nodes at 28, 27. Right through November and December. And also through January 2019. We got them in square through February 2019. They're still in square, both going backwards. Kind of peters out in March, and they come out of orb about 3-4 degrees out. So one of the things I decided was to see if there was any other accents on this thing. And what I did is I found that there was a bunch of full moons at 1 degree that are impacting our T-square of Uranus squaring the nodes. And the first one was a 0 Taurus lunation. The full moon is right on Uranus. Started the window of hurricanes, I called them, big blows. And that full moon went from October 24th through November 23rd. When finally we had a full moon in Gemini, it's not so bad. Here we got 1 month when the interruptions to your thoughts, to your emotions, to nurturing and mothering are added to strong and lots of extra, call it lunacy, some craziness, and a total lack of nurturing and mothering. So this is a bad month, October 24th through November 23rd. The next full moon from November 23rd goes to December 22nd. It's at 0 Cancer. Not so bad. It doesn't hit the square exactly. Gives Uranus a chance to come back. Then there's another full moon from December 22nd that goes to January 21st in Leo. And that one also is it doesn't fully set off the T-square. But we get to January 21st, and there is a bad full moon at 1 Leo, and it's on the North Node, and it squares Uranus. And we're going to have another month that's a lack of nurturing and lunacy about mothering and taking it out on Uranus. And we're lucky that homeless people and cripples aren't being killed and beat up and stuff here. So there's 2 months, October 24th to November 23rd, January 21st to February 19th, when this whole weird situation, and I wish I had a better handle on it. I can only tell you that my inner world of mentality is stressed out. Yes. Damn, I did it again. I ran over the time. Little commercial. Donate. You don't want chart work done? It's okay. Listen, I don't do a lot of personality stuff or compatibility. If you want that, I got a computer program. For $20, I can print you 20 pages on your personality. It's really good. Or compatibility. The computer burns them out real quick. What I do is the thing that most astrologers can't. I do the future. For a Jeep at 45, I do a year really well. For a Chevy, 2 years. For a Caddy, 2.5, 3 years or so. You can get a life reading for 200. So these are prices and different things I do, but you know, this doing the future is something other astrologers can't do. No, they can't. They do personality, they do compatibility. I also do stuff like solar returns, set up your birthday properly for you. Make sure you contact me by email, Rollin Frost @yahoo.com. A month before your birthday, and I'll check it out for you, see if you want to change towns a little bit. Elections, when you do your surgery, take your trip, get married, call on your astrologer. Important stuff, okay? A lot of these other, like solar returns and elections, I can do them by email, so they're relatively cheap. Just like the computer printouts are pretty cheap. And they're interesting if you're into your personality and compatibility with somebody. You need accurate birth times, okay? But if you don't want services, I need help. Here's my address. Put a little check in the mail to Rollin Frost, 77-6473 Princess K. Likolani Drive, Kona 96740. I need help. Damn, I was going to do lesson 1 for you in astrology, but no time. Save it for the next show. Aloha.